This is the Bradley County Commission voting session, September 6th, 2022. And Commissioner Blake is going to lead us in the pledge, and Pastor Phil Griffin from Grace Point is going to lead us in the invocation.
If you would, please stand. And pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I can take just a second and say this, y'all can please have a seat. It's okay. I just want to say this. 19 years ago, we started our church. The very first thing we did was we established a prayer ministry in our church called I Pray. You have been on that list for 19 years. You've been prayed for almost on a daily basis by our church. I want you to know that we share a lot in common in what you do. Most people that call you don't call you to tell you how great things are going, but how bad things are or whatever it may be. And as a pastor, I certainly know exactly what that's like. But it's very, very important for me to say to you, for 21 years, you've allowed me to come and do this. Thank you for allowing us to do this. I just posted something on Facebook. I don't have 1 million followers, but I've got nearly 1,000. And I wanted to know how thankful I am as a pastor and a citizen of this town that you still allow us to do this. Most places don't. And I also want you to know that you are prayed for. You're cared for. People think often of you more than you realize. And we want what's best for you. Some new faces I haven't seen before. Congratulations. But I count it a great honor to be asked to come and pray for you tonight. If you'd allow me, I'd love to do that. Father, I'm so thankful that we could take this moment and pray. I'm thankful, God, to live in a place that still allows me the privilege to come and pray. Lord, your word tells us a lot of things. One of the things it says is if you lack wisdom, we should ask for it. And God, this group of people, they need your wisdom. They carry the weight, Father. The decisions they make affect every person that lives in this county. And I pray, God, they'd look to you for that wisdom. Grant to them the wisdom, Father, the ability to know what to do and how to do it. I pray, Father, your protection upon them physically, spiritually, emotionally, in every way. And this will be a great year for them, Father, as they launch out into a new year. I pray, God, your blessing on each and every one of them, on their families. From the top of their head to the bottom of the soles of their feet, Father, blessing, courage, and, Father, the ability to hang in there when times get tough. We are so thankful, God, to live in this amazing place. Bradley County is the greatest place in the world. And, Father, we feel doubly blessed that we get to live here. Bless these, Father, who lead us, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, and now I'm going to call the roll. Beatty.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Alford.
Here.
Cry.
Here.
Blake.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Gilbert.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Goins.
Here.
Slater.
Here.
Mason.
Here.
Ledford.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Winters.
Here.
That's 14 present and none absent. And now I'm going to open the floor for nominations for chairman.
Does anybody speak first, or how does that work?
It's just whomever.
I wrote a little something. It's a little more nerve-wracking on this side than it is on that side. But I did write a little something I'd like to share. As I thought about our first order of business, the nomination selection of this body's chairperson, I considered how significant leadership is and the premium I myself place on the value of a strong and effective leader. My first consideration was the simple fact that almost 40% of this commission is represented by first-time office holders. As one of those individuals, along with Commissioners Ledford, Rogers, Gilbert, and Beatty, it was apparent to me that our body would subsequently benefit from a strong, experienced, and compassionate leader. In that, I feel led to make a nomination that I believe would support the growth of this group of new commissioners, but also unify the body of experienced commissioners. I have known this individual as a leader in our community for nearly all of my life. I have watched his leadership as a husband and father, and as a leader in his profession, and as a man of faith in his church. I've seen him lead with integrity, passion, and commitment in difficult circumstances. Most recently, I've watched him work alongside his fellow commissioners and community members on all sides of challenging issues. He's done so while demonstrating fairness and great care for all parties involved. He served his district through several elections and represents one of the most experienced commissioners on this body. Knowing his heart and his faith has led me to the realization that his leadership would serve this commission and our community well as we move forward in the coming months. Leadership is critical. Who leads matters. I have no doubt that our team will thrive under the wisdom and vision of Commissioner Bill Winters. I would like to formally nominate Commissioner Winters for the position of Chairman for County Commission.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate this, well, let me put it this way. I've nominated this person for the past 3 years for vice chair. It would be no surprise that I'm going to nominate him for commissioner or for chairman tonight. So at this time, I can nominate Commissioner Cry for chairman.
Okay. Any other? Okay, is there a motion for nominations to cease?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. So I'll call the roll on nominations ceasing, okay? Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins. Slater,
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Okay, that's 13 in favor, none opposed, and 1 pass for the nominations to cease. So now, we will vote on the, chairperson nominees, and when I say your name, if you'll say your choice, the name of your choice. Beatty,
Cry.
Hughes,
Cry.
Alford,
Cry.
Cry,
Cry.
Blake.
Cry.
Collins.
Winners.
Gilbert,
Cry.
Thompson,
Cry.
Goins. Slater, Mason.
Cry.
Ledford,
Pass.
Rogers,
Winners.
Winters.
Pass.
Anyone wish to change their vote? That's 2 for Winters, 9 for Cry, and 3 pass. Commissioner Cry, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I would now like to open it up for vice chairman, nominations for vice chairman. Do I have any nominations for vice chairman? Kim Mason.
I'll nominate Bill Winters.
Do I have any other nomination? Nominate who? Oh, okay.
And would, Commissioner Thompson, you want to add that he be elected by acclamation since there's the one? Okay,
And, okay,
call the roll.
we want to nominate Commissioner Winters by acclamation then. Is there any opposition? Commissioner Winters, you are the vice chairman, sir. Call the roll. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Call the roll.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins. Slater, Mason.
Yes.
Ledford,
Pass.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
Okay. That's 12 in favor, none opposed, and 2 pass.
Congratulations, Commissioner Winters. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a,
So moved.
okay, Commissioner Hughes, do I have a second? Commissioner Goins, call the roll, please.
Beatty, Hughes, Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins, Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. Next item is the report from the county mayor. He's absent tonight. Adam, do you have anything?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 3 things. First of all, the mayor regrets that he couldn't be here tonight for your first meeting. He was, began to feel ill over the weekend and tested positive for COVID. He is at home and is resting and is expected to be back with us later this week, but sends his regrets. There are 2 items that we'd like for you to approve tonight. The first, and I will start right down here, if you'll just take one and pass it down. The first item is a page, it's part of our insurance contract that shows coverage in lieu of bonds for specific elected officials, and those are listed there. This does need to be voted on and approved and included in the minutes. So if someone would be so kind as to take that.
Mr. Chairman. I'll take it.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes, I'll take it for him.
Okay. Second Goins? Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yeah.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater. Yes. Mason, Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
The last item is another item that will need to be taken up tonight. This is a copy of the bond for the trustee.
While it's been passed down, Adam, has this been around long enough that it could not have been placed on the agenda where the people could have looked at it?
I believe the recommendation from the Finance Committee is on the agenda, but this is a copy of the bond itself. So I don't know if you want to take those maybe together when you reach that agenda item.
Blake?
Sorry. This is a contract? Oh, no. What is this?
It's Mike Smith is,
So,
Mike Smith is required to have a larger bond
Right.
than our other elected
which is
officials.
item C on our agenda.
Yes.
We're gonna do this for 4 years instead of 1 year. That's what the agenda item is about. So do we do this and then this, or all?
You could do it either way.
All right.
It just needs to be spread in the minutes as well. So you could do it now, or you could do it along with, what is it, item C?
So we'll do it as item C then.
So let's move this on down to item C and bring it up.
I have nothing further then. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we haven't gotten a copy yet.
You haven't got a copy?
Thank you.
Does she have a copy? You
I
have a
have.
copy?
Yes, I do.
Report from the committees and/or the districts. I'll start on my right. No, I'll start on my left since Commissioner Winters, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it's an honor, and I appreciate the vote to be vice chair, and will do all I can do to make this transition as positive as possible and to move forward with what I consider a great commission as been assembled here. I went to the Bradley-Cleveland game, and I want to tell you, that's a 7th district game, by the way. 7th district has Bradley High and Cleveland High in it. So we were there. Josh was announcing that game, and I was there representing the ATS The Bridge and watched a great game by the fine athletes that we have in Bradley County, but also gentlemen. At the end, when they'd knock somebody down, they'd pick them up. And they were kind to each other because they'd known each other all these years. And I saw a Walker Valley or a Bradley guy two games ago, that at the end of the game walked with the Bradley player, walked with the Walker Valley coach and complimented him on the team, the Walker Valley, the way they played that night. We watched good sportsmanship. We watched them compete with each other, but they'd grown up together, and it was a great night. But that's the 7th district, right, Josh? That was special for us. 60 Highway is moving on, not as fast as some of us close to middle school would like, but people have been very kind, letting the neighbors out as we're needing out of our subdivisions while school is going on and all the cars are coming in. They're kind to us. The construction people are nice too. We even have construction people living in our subdivision. And we told them that we'd like them to take a piece of equipment out. They did that, and they mowed the yard on the first house that's on the left that they're going to take. So we've had good working relationships with TDOT. We've had good working relationships neighborhood. We just wished it would move a lot faster so we can get back some of our neighborhoods. But the 7th District is in good stead. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Before we go to Commissioner Rogers, we need to go back and, on the consent agenda, do I have a motion? Commissioner Hughes, second. Commissioner Goins, call the roll, please.
Beatty?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
Alford?
Yes.
Cry?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Goins?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Mason?
Yes.
Ledford?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Winters?
Yes.
That's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Now, Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you don't mind me taking a second, I want to first say thank you to my wife, Jamie, our children, Ivy and Violet, for always supporting me and my goals and dreams in life. 4 years ago, I threw my hat into the ring to run for this seat that I'm sitting in today. 4 years ago, I was young and naive on many issues that we were facing as our county, our state, and our country today. Over the last 4 years, I've got to watch from the sideline as our county and state have grown strong financially, and I've seen firsthand real growth in Bradley County, but also in myself. 4 years ago, I would have loved to serve this county, but I'm thankful to be able to have the last 4 years to watch and learn from some of the best in county government. I want to say thank you to the voters of the 7th District for voting and allowing me to serve these next 4 years, and I look forward to serving with all my fellow commissioners and with you, Mr. Chairman, over the next 4 years. I know that collectively, we will all not agree on every single issue our county faces, but I know with this group of 14 that we can all do a lot of good for the people of Bradley County. I look forward to having that opportunity with each and every one of you. My hope and goal is that in 4 years, we can all look back on this day and say, job well done, and that we accomplished the tasks and needs of the county. Again, I look forward to working with each and every one of you. The mayor, who is not here tonight, Ms. Moultrie, the residents of the 7th District, and all of Bradley County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that all? Great. Commissioner Ledford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Josh started this 4 years ago. I started this 16 years ago, 2006. Like Josh said, I was young and naive and just thought I could make a difference, thought I could walk right in and win, but of course that didn't happen. Then in 2010, I decided to run again. I ran on a Republican ticket then, and it got real. There was 13 of us ran. Tim, your daddy was one of them, running for that office. And of course, that's when Robert Romanger won the seat. It was Mel Griffith and Robert Romanger. Of course, Roy Smith sat in this seat in 2006, and then Mel Griffith, of course, in 6. They nominated me to the HCI committee. Great men. I just hope to be able to follow the lead like these two men did. I have the privilege to be able to talk to Mel Griffith, Dr. Mel Griffith, who is a fine man, and is the knowledge that this man has is unbelievable. But I thank the people of the 6th District for allowing me the privilege to serve. I wished it would have been sooner, but now's good. The people seen a need, and they wanted to change. And I'm here to be accountable and transparent to those people and do what they tell me to do, how they tell me to do. Work with Tim, my partner, to make sure we come up with the right decision for our district. And I thank all the people, and the ones I can't name them all, there's too many to name. I'd like to read one thing, and then I'm done. I've seen this passage in Facebook. I was looking around, and I seen this, and it was just great for me. Forgive the person and their actions. Never give to hate. Let it go. Set it free, and karma will take care of what is meant to be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Chairman. Like I say, I'm glad to see that the water is going to be flowing pretty soon in the 6th District and the 4th District. I thank these men for everyone involved for that. 6th District's doing well. I should have a TDOT litter total for the month coming up next week, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cleveland State's Law Enforcement Training Academy has announced the return of the Tennessee Reconnect program. If you're not familiar with the Tennessee Reconnect program, it's an initiative to help more adults return to higher education to gain new skills, advance in the workplace, and fulfill completing a degree or a credential. So if you have thought about going back to college or working on a degree or a technical certificate and you didn't have the funds to do it, Cleveland State is offering you the opportunity to attend again for free. Registration the deadline is January to be enrolled for next spring. So if that's something that interests you, check out Cleveland State's website for more information. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Goins.
Fifth district's doing well, but I would like to welcome all the new commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson.
I'd like to congratulate Tom Kraft for being chairman, Mr. Chairman, and also Bill Winters for vice chairman. I've worked with them quite a while, and they're good people, and I'm sure we can work with them again. And I'd just like to say thanks to my partner here. We've got a new partner, and I think we can work good together. And I knew him a long time, and we've knew each other a long time. And so anyway, I think we can work together in the 4th District. And again, Tim, like you said, the water thing here, we're going to probably vote on tonight here. I appreciate everybody's interest in that and what Ocoee Utilities are doing, and for us, the 6th District and the 4th District for us getting water and sewer. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert.
I didn't write no speech.
One second.
Point of order.
Yeah, Mister, if you want to go ahead and make your motion on that water, now's the time to do that.
Okay, on both
And-
sides, you want to do them both together?
And Commissioner Mason for the 6th district.
We'll do that. On the 4th District, you got a copy of that in front of you. It's, you got one for Parkville Trail, which is in the 4th District, and have one for Sugar Creek Road, which is in the 6th District. So, one in the 4th District, I make a motion.
I second it.
Scotty seconded. Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, just a little bit on the funding of this piece. This is coming from the federal money, the bucket that was earmarked for water. We're not going to use HCI money that's annually earmarked for water, since we have enough money in the ARP money to get this started. So that money will go back into the HCI and what, I don't want to call it the general fund, but this is going to be all federal money for water for the 4th District and the 6th District out of that bucket.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Rogers.
I do have a question on the proposals of the estimates that were given. At the bottom of it, it says this estimate does not include rock excavation. Will Ocoee Utilities be covering the cost of the rock excavation, or will they be coming back for more money if that costs more? And what is the estimated cost of the rock excavation?
Yeah, well, typically all of the money that we put up gets us to whatever funding is, and then they handle the rest of it. The only piece of this that's a little bit different than the HCI part is that the residents normally had to put in, I think, 25%, Lori? I'm sorry, the residents normally have to put in, 25% or 50%?
50%.
We eliminated that. The commission voted to eliminate that, so now all they have to do is pay their tap fee. But our money that we have, wherever that gets us, and then the rest is on Ocoee Utilities.
The rest is on Ocoee?
That is correct, yeah.
Thanks.
Commissioner Slater.
So will these eventually be put in a resolution, or are we just voting on these estimates tonight?
No, we're voting on the projects that are being funded. So Ocoee Utilities will take this, should it pass, and start the projects. They will handle all of the billing piece. We'll basically send them a check over there, and then they handle purchasing the material, purchasing the labor, project planning. our next step is going out there and watching the water flow if it passes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
And just, I believe that the two, 4th district and the 6th district will be done in parallel. They're not gonna do one, finish it up and do the other. They will, both of them at the same time, what I understand, but that's subject to change, of course.
I do have one more question. Do you know how many homes or how many lots this will
Yeah, the
affect
first,
for both?
yeah, the first estimate, I believe, was what, 30 to 35, but what I understand, there's a developer out there already, building, and who knows, but at least 30. So this will probably be one of the biggest projects that we did. Normally we get 5, 7, 8 houses with water. So I'm thrilled that we're getting up to 30 to 35 houses out there. And you've seen perhaps the reports that their wells are deteriorating or dried up or having issues. So it's kind of, it's been a tough summer out there for some of these folks. So this is just in time, if you will.
It is.
Any other comments, questions? Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Now, go back to Commissioner Mason on the 6th district.
Yeah, I kind of jumped the gun on that while ago. My apologies. I want to put into motion about the Sugar Creek Road. This is $341,662.75, and this is a 50% agreement with Ocoee Utility District.
Commissioner Slater provided the second. Comments, questions? Call the roll, please.
Beatty.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry.
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Go back to the Commissioner Gilbert.
Yes, like I said, I didn't write no letters here, but I just want to thank God for being here. And I want to thank all the constituents of the 4th District for electing me. And everything looks good in the 4th District, and if the people in the 4th District need something, let me know. We'll try our best to get her done. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Collins.
Thank you, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Blake and Commissioner Rogers and I had an awesome opportunity to go out along with Mayor Davis and Mayor Brooks to the opening of the Ironcraft facility. And I don't know if anybody's had the opportunity to see that. It's in District 3. Will provide almost 400 new jobs, I believe is what they said. It's farm machinery production, really neat facility, awesome project, and something that will be great for our community. So I was thankful to see Mayor Davis and Mayor Brooks out there for our community.
Is that all?
That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations. You and I came on in 14, and I know you'll do well. Commissioner Winters, congratulations as well, and Vice Chair. As Mr. Commissioner Collins just said, I'm sure a lot of people kind of scratched their head and always thought that Bendix property would be, just a pavement for the foreseeable future. So I was glad to see that. It was a beautiful warehouse. When you drove in there, I mean, it was like, you don't want to get any dirt on it or anything. It was spick and span. So that is a good thing for the 3rd District and Bradley County as a whole. Second, Mr. Chairman, as you know, we just finished up election, but we're not quite done yet. This November, we have yet another election, state and federal general election. Now that I'm an empty nester, my 2 kids young men are off to college, I made sure that they were aware that they would be getting an absent ballot, and they are required to vote. And just so you know, you can request your absentee ballot as of today. So if you know someone who is not going to be here for the time to vote, early voting starts October 19th. You can request your absentee ballot through the Election Commission through the normal process as of today. Again, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Alford.
Yes, everything in the second's doing well. I think I've been seeing a lot of advertisement for the Cowpeas Festival, so people on the north end of the county or the whole county needs to get out and go to that. And second thing is, earlier this year, the commission approved an agreement with Nuterra Compost for the installation of a compost collection kiosk at the farmers market on Urbane Road. You are invited to attend the ribbon cutting tomorrow at 10:30 at the farmers market. You can cut the ribbon, pick up some fresh produce. I was by there the other day. I think that thing will be useful for people that have excess vegetables or stuff like that they won't throw. They put this into a compost situation and spread it around. So they've got them, I think, here, and I'm not sure if they got the one on Peerless Road or not yet. But it's a good idea. Hopefully people will take advantage of it in Bradley County.
Is that all, sir? Commissioner Hughes.
I'd like to take time to thank and welcome all the new commissioners to the commission. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And I agree with you. There's going to be times we're going to be in disagreement on different situations, but just remember it's 14 of us. All 14 of us have different views and have different constituents to talk to. So always keep that in mind when you start getting upset about something. But otherwise, I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and if there's anything I could ever do to help you, just let me know.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Commissioner Beck.
I'd like to thank all the people in the first district, and if they need anything, just let me know, and then I'm looking forward to working with all the commissioners. I'm good. Everything else.
Is that all, sir?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry. I was going through my notes so quick and I forgot to mention that we have former commissioner, I can't hardly say that right, Charlotte Peak, who I had to sit next to for many, many years, and also former Commissioner Erica Davis and Dan Rawls with us tonight. It's good to see you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Is there any unfinished business? The approval of the agenda. Need a motion for the Commissioner Goins. Second. Okay, Commissioner Thompson. Any comments, discussion? Do you need to pull any? Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake. Yes. Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Agenda item A, Commissioner Slater.
This is a resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute an interlocal agreement with the city of Cleveland regarding the 2022 Byrne Justice Assistance Grant. Our Bradley County's part of the grant would be a little over $7,000, and this grant will be used to purchase mobile data computers. I place this in the form of a motion.
Second.
Do I have a second? Commissioner Rogers. Any discussion? Yes.
Just so you know, the Finance Committee adopted the amendments to pay for all this afternoon, so you'll be seeing that in the consent agenda at the next voting session. So the amendment's on its way.
Is there any other comments or questions? Call the roll, please. I'm sorry. Commissioner Thompson.
Pay their part.
Yes.
The city's given us part of their money. The city is giving us part of their money.
They're gonna pay the same thing we did.
Yes.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Item B, Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution that brings all the internal committees in line. It puts the Emergency Service Committee to 5 members from the 7. This is the best time to do it since we're going into a new term. And when you put the members on there, you'll know the number of people you can put out. Mr. Chairman, I'll put that in form of motion. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Hughes. Comments, questions? Yes.
Look at that minute there, what was that,
Yeah, Commissioner Thomas, as you know, two committees were combined. You know, the fire committee used to be civilians, and we dissolved that and brought them in, and then the mayor chose to have one individual be the director of EMS and the chief of the fire. And at that time, we kind of thought, oh, we'll just have one committee, and then the membership was at 7. I just think, we've talked about going back to the two committees, one for EMS and one fire. Chatting with the mayor, he would prefer to stay one committee, but go down to 5 members like all the other internal. Finance has 5 members, law has 5 members, education, all of them have 5 members. So this just brings that in line with all the other committees that we have internally.
I know that, before we had these divided up, and we put them all under the mayor as the director. If I'm not mistaken, that's his department. His department head goes to EMS and fire department. So we've had a fire committee, and we've also had an EMS committee. But right now, it's combined together, so what's the problem? Have we got problems there or something that we're changing it?
The only issue is that it's not even an issue, that's not the correct terminology, it's that it has 7 members right now, which is kind of a super committee, if you will, and this just brings it down to 5 members. So when Chairman Cry selects the members of that committee, he'll know how many to put on that committee.
Any other questions, comments? Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Item C, Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we saw earlier, you had the bond documentation. Now you gotta pay for it. The Finance Committee elected to make a recommendation to go with a 4-year purchase plan instead of a 1-year, saving a total of $18,000 if you do it in this method. So based on the recommendation from Finance, I make a motion that Finance Committee pay the trustee surely bond from the commission line item 599 for 4 years of coverage. Put that in form of motion. Thank you.
Commissioner Winters, seconded. Any discussion, question? Call the roll, please.
Okay, 1 second. We need to say approving it and also placing it in the minutes. If you could add that, Commissioner Blake.
I would like to add approving it and placing it in the minutes. Like,
Okay.
it's-
And who was the second? I'm sorry.
Bill Winters.
Okay, thank you.
we got it all squared away.
Yep, I got it. Okay.
Okay.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Item D, Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee recommended sending the Election Commission Chairperson a letter asking them to observe their budget and also not to exceed the 29 and a half hours per week. We drafted this letter. It's been in your packet. Based on the approval from this commission, it will be sent over to the Election Commission. I put this letter in the form of motion. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Slater, seconded. Open for discussion and question. Yes.
This is also funded by the state, right?
No.
It's all county funding.
All county funding, $282,000.
The state does pay some of the election administrator's salary, yes.
That doesn't reflect what we're saying.
No, no, only when we pass the budget, the resolution, we set an amount at each line, and that's what we're referring to here.
Any other question,
Mr. Chairman.
comment? All the,
When?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner.
When the Election Commission goes over their budget, do they come and ask for a budget amendment to the committee? Would they come, if they go over their budget, which this is what we're addressing here, do they come to the Finance Committee and renegotiate with the county to be under that budget? Because that's, the problem is they're going over the budget, correct?
So you're asking, do they submit an amendment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, is there a
Kinda, sorta, I mean-
negotiation before it goes to? What's caused the problem is the accountants in the state have said they're over their budget. So if they're over their budget,
well,
we
no, it's the
identify.
finance director, I guess, when she's closing it, with
Yeah.
samples. And we have at the very end of the budget process, it's part of the budget process.
Right.
Is we have what we call true-ups.
Yeah.
And that is where we align everything back up at the account level or at the fund level as well.
Right.
And that's where that's done as far as amendments go. It's one
Yeah.
big amendment for all the funds, for all the accounts in those funds. So, but that doesn't say that they can't amend throughout the year as they feel the need. We just had about 40 amendments today from different departments. I mean, any department can amend their budget as they choose.
So ultimately, what's been the problem is the accounting from the state has said they've been over budget, and they could have worked on it prior with the finance committee,
Now,
correct or not?
just to be accurate, I don't think, if you're talking about the auditors,
Yeah.
that
State.
the budget that we just completed, the 21-22, I believe is being audited as we speak. So they haven't given an opinion so far. That's what the true ups do, is they get everything in line so that the auditors don't basically say anything. We basically move fund balance money over to cover that. So the state hasn't given a quote unquote an opinion yet. They do so through their audit, and we'll usually get the audit in December.
So bottom line, what are we asking
We're
them
just
to
asking
do?
them to stay within the budget that was passed by this commission on July 5th. Is that right? Yeah.
Commissioner Ledford.
I have a question, or I have a statement. Yeah, sorry, thank you. The original overage of the Election Commission was $16,494, is that correct?
I believe that's correct, and I hesitate because I know there's been a discussion about, there's a line in their budget for election workers, and I believe they've moved some of that over into the line that was an over, so whether it's 16,000 or less, but they had some election workers that have yet to be paid, from what I understanding.
Okay.
And when I chatted with the mayor about the other day, we're finalizing that, but there was an overage though.
The information I've got is $16,494 over, and they paid back $12,585, leaving a balance of overage at $3,909 as of right now. That's my understanding of the information that I got.
And where'd you get that information from?
Out of the Banner, out of the
well,
Cleveland Daily Banner.
There you go.
So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's where I got it from.
I think put some clarity to it. The Banner got their information from Mr. Reimer, who was speaking. They initially, as I understand it, was 16,000 something over their budget. Then they paid employees a 2,500 plus or minus bonus. At the same time, allegedly not paying their poll workers for as far back as 3 years. I think the intent of this letter, more than anything else, is to put them on notice to properly handle the fiduciary responsibility of the taxpayers' money. And I think this should do it. We have to recognize the seriousness of some of this stuff as it gets involved in money. A part-time employee is not a full-time employee, and we have to recognize that. But I think that's where we are, Commissioner Ledford. I think then they came up with a bonus or surplus and turned it back in from other line items. Go ahead, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, you're saying that I really shouldn't look at what the banner says?
No,
that we-
no, I didn't say that. They got
Okay.
it from the man speaking to the commission, Commissioner Lewis.
So is that information from the banner accurate or not?
I have no way of knowing. I have not audited their books. He said it was only $3,000 and something, but I think the mayor will tell you that he had it at $16,000 something.
Mr. Chairman, Adam Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, I might be able to clarify this. So the original amendment that finance looked at and approved was for the $16,500. In layman's terms, and I know, correct me if I'm wrong, they knew they were going to be over, but weren't clear how much. So they knew the 16.5 would get them to where they needed to be. After they closed out the year, met their requirements, paid the poll workers, the 3,900 is what was left. They turned back in the 12,000, and so the overage then became the 3,900. Does that make better sense? So the information I believe that the banner's reporting came from the Election Commission and from the Finance Department. So the $3,900 is the actual number that they were over after everything was reconciled and everything was paid.
I still don't know if they paid all their poll workers past
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
when you
Mr. Chairman.
winners.
Go ahead.
Mr. Rogers.
Thank you. So I totally understand the letter and appreciate the letter, but my question is beyond the Election Commission, if we have a division of the county that goes over their budget, as a county commission, what really can we do? What's to not say that another division of the government goes over their budget? I believe that these items were for workers, and I think by federal statute, we have to pay people who work. And so in state, county, whatever. So my question is that if we're paying people who go over their budget because they were paying workers, what leads that to not have, whether it's any other body, sheriff's department, EMA, whatever, if they have people who work overtime or whatever, for us to not send letters to them in the future for going over their budget?
Chairman.
Yes.
So that's the question that we have been asking for quite some time, as you've heard. And I've chatted with the folks at CTAS. We'll be meeting with the County Commission Association next week when they come into town. You can best believe that'll be one of the questions I asked. I asked them that last year. We asked up in Nashville at the conference as well. But there's no quote-unquote TCA code, which is basically our law, that says that we have any quote-unquote recourse. I think right now what we do is we monitor, and because we go over the expense reports once a month when we get them from the Director of Finance, and you can kind of see the burn rate, if you will, and work with elected officials and department heads and find out what's going on. Is there an emergency? Is there something abnormal about what's going on? Because they submitted their budgets, or their budget request, and they had a chance to appeal their if they wanted to. You saw the people who did, and ultimately they can take legal action if they even want to go that far.
Sure.
So the budget was passed by this full commission. In my 8 years, this is the first time we've had that, but because we do work with them on a month-to-month basis. I meet with most of the finance directors from juvenile, law. We had Susan Wilcutt today from schools. So it's the good line of communication that usually prevents that. But to answer your question, there's nothing we can do. I can't make a motion, get a second, and say, you have to, this is the corrective action because you went over at this point in time. But hopefully, when we talk to the folks next month and the folks up in the General Assembly, because I got to believe this has happened. We got 95 counties in the state of Tennessee. I'm sure this has happened before, so we'll see.
And Mr. Chairman, that was kind of to my point, is that I think that there are other counties out there that are having the same issue, whether it is not just an election commission, but any type of body of government. And so I would hope that we would not just send a letter to the election commission, but we'd also send a letter to our state senators, our House of Representatives, and see if that there's something at the state level they can do to change the TCA to where it gives the county and it gives our body the ability to do something moving forward. Because I think that this issue has been not only a discussion that has been here in this commission room for months now, but also whether it is in the banner or in other areas of media. And I think that we would all, and I think the general public would appreciate something going forward, not just for the election commission, but for any other type of department that we have in Bradley County.
I think that will be forthcoming, Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you.
I think that pretty high on the priority ladder to get something to the state, giving us guidance and authority on something. Because we've been blessed. This is the first time it's happened. But it's going to happen again because it just can't be prevented. Commissioner Winters, sir.
I'm not opposed to the letter, but I think this just brings an opportunity for dialogue with those that are on the election commission to look at this as we move forward next year. If it's $3,000, it's $3,000. If it's $10,000, it's our concern. All this is, as you were saying, the fiduciary responsibility of the election commission. But the election commission is working with a lot of changes that are happening from the number of people, number of stations that they have for election that they work on. So they're trying to hit a target at the end with budget. But this is saying basically what I see is being in touch with us through the finance committee to say this is looking like we're going to be over and they're going to be over on this, so we can make sure that is either fundable. The state will. We can't direct this election commission because that's the open election for Republicans and Democrats at the same time to come in to that booth. We can't limit funds if they need funds, but we need to know ahead of time they need funds. Right, Mr. Chairman?
I think you're correct. You're on target.
I'm
I
supportive of
think
the
you
letter.
also, all of us need to recognize, had they not given the $2,500 bonus, and allegedly when they turned the surplus in, it brought it down to $3,900, they wouldn't have had a shortage. So it gets back down to fiduciary responsibility, and all of our obligation is to protect the taxpayers' money. Anybody else?
One more. I was just gonna say, this is just a recommendation.
We have no authority over it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford.
Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Goins.
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Item E, Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a motion to accept the Broadband Initiative Ad Hoc Committee recommendation to look at opportunities to partner with all broadband providers on a 50-50 match projects for the approximately $3,220,000 remaining in the American Rescue Plan Act broadband bucket. Mr. Chair, I place this in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second? Commissioner Goins, second. Open for discussion and comments. Cindy, go ahead.
I'd like to recognize Erica Davis, if she would come to the podium, please.
Good evening. I am here to bring some good news. We have been working on some broadband grant opportunities. As many of you know, we have an ARP bucket, which is $4 million. We have applied for state broadband grants with VEC. Originally, that amount was $1.8 million in matching funds for 4 areas of Bradley County. I'm proud to announce tonight that 2 areas have been selected and named finalists to receive grant funding and broadband expansion. You have the maps in front of you, I hope. The first area that was awarded in northwest Bradley County, Commissioner Offord and Commissioner Cry, you will be happy. This stretches from Georgetown and Hopewell area. I'm sorry, that's the first district. Mr. Beatty and Mike Hughes, sorry. Second one is you. So Georgetown, Hopewell area on the north down to portions of Harrison Pike and Owl Hollow Road in the McDonald area. This area represents 1,006 new homes and businesses who will receive high-speed broadband access through the VEC Twin Lakes Partnership. You can see that on the screen there. This is 91 total miles of new fiber. The second area, I just got excited, sorry, is northeast Bradley County and stretches from portions of Bowater Road and on the north parts of Benton Pike onto the south. This area represents 742 new homes and businesses who will receive high-speed broadband access, 69 total miles of new fiber. There will be a Google link map posted on the county's social media sites after this meeting where people can go and see more detail where these new service areas will be. We've known for a while that the supply chain and other issues will delay these projects, even if they're not fully funded. That is the case. We are being told that because of those issues, those areas can still expect the projects to take up to 24 months before they are complete. So the two areas that were not awarded were in the South Bradley County area. This brings the total county's commitment match amount down from $1.8 to $800,000. This day has been a long time coming. It has taken us several years to get to this point. Not soon enough for many of us, but I'm happy to report that we are making progress. Thank you to the County Commission for committing to make the investment in rural broadband. I hope that commitment will continue. With now only $800,000 of the allotted $4 million needing to be spent, that leaves roughly $3.2 million to continue investing in broadband. We will possibly have one more opportunity to apply for state funding. The new grant cycle has not yet been announced. Remember, we have to invest this ARP money by the end of 2026. So we have to consider supply chain issues, construction timelines, contractor delays when working to spend the remaining ARP dollars. So I imagine we will look at one more state grant opportunity after that remaining funds are still available and should be continued to be invested in broadband expansion. The motion from the Broadband Ad Hoc Committee is an attempt to look at one additional way to spend and invest this money. The committee made the recommendation only to begin exploring the partnering with service providers on a 50-50 match funding opportunity. Up till now, we have invested 10% of the total project amount, with the remaining amount coming from grant funding. This new model would involve 50% funding from the county and 50% funding from the service provider. Obviously, this is not a good of a deal as a 10% match. Without another state grant opportunity to take advantage of, the committee and the mayor's office feels this is the best path forward. I want to point out that this motion and your vote tonight is not to approve any specific funding or even a specific project. The concern has been raised that this is too soon to vote on this and that a cost analysis hasn't been done and that it's being rushed. So I just want to point out that there is nothing in this motion to analyze the cost of and no specifics attached to it. We're just asking for a thumbs up to begin talking with the providers about this idea and to see what can be brought to the table. Any project, any dollar amount cannot be approved without the vote of this commission. So please understand that you're not voting to allow anyone to move forward with spending a dime or committing anything. This is just to say we all agree that looking at this money can be invested in a wise way, and this is one way that we want to look at more closely. We may find out that it's not in the best interest of Bradley County to do this down the road, but we would like to be able to start studying it and talking with the providers to determine that. Ultimately, this commission will have the final say before any money is committed or spent. We would hope to partner with as many eligible providers as possible, but that will depend on each provider working with the county to ensure that we're making the best investment possible. I don't think any of us want to see taxpayer dollars spent to fund competition, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We have had some initial conversations with at least one provider who is willing to partner with us on a 50-50 match. This is similar, again, to something that you just approved for water because you approved a 50-50 match for water expansion in the 6th district and in the 4th district. David Murphy is here from VEC, and he is going to talk about what this may look like down the road. And he is going to also discuss potential areas of South Bradley County to invest. David? I'm sorry?
Good evening. On the screen, you can see the outline that we've created for the proposed South Bradley project. We were actually proposing to serve this in the state broadband grant process that just concluded. And unfortunately, the Bradley 03 and Bradley 04 grant applications that were turned in were not approved. It is a competitive grant process at the state level, and so I don't know what made 01 and 02 stand out more than 03 and 04, but for whatever reason, the state graded 01 and 2 ahead of 03 and 4, and so consequently 01 and 02 have been awarded. We got formal notification today. The state called me around 5 o'clock and told us that we are getting the funds for 01 and 02. And so we'll have a letter to proceed on construction before the end of September.
So, are you willing to take questions during your deliberation?
Sure.
So you got approval from the state for Bradley 01 and Bradley 02. Your estimate for the total cost, is that accurate still?
Yes, it's on the other map. It's on the back page of that first map.
The one we just got?
Yes. I've highlighted in yellow on that spreadsheet. The upper number is the original cost estimate, and your part would have been $811,000 and some change.
779.
And the revised cost estimate is the second line down that's highlighted in yellow. And so the current cost to Bradley County would be $779.
So that was what I have the one that we had in committee.
This should reflect that, I think.
Yeah, okay. That was my question, is that from your estimate here to, I guess, what you now know to be factual,
Yes.
they're the same? So
Yes, they are. No, that has not changed.
Okay, so that's...
Excuse me, Mr. Murphy, can you explain how the geography was selected? I'm interested, I guess, just from I don't know,
Okay.
Why did they stop at a certain area? For instance, Georgetown, why not go further out? What creates the geography of these areas?
There is a technological limitation. The fiber optics that we're utilizing have approximately a 12-mile service area longitudinally. And so we try to design it in such a way that we can capture as many homes as possible with a single circuit of fiber. But we're also serving the fiber out of our electric substations. And so we put the electronics in the substation house. And so our point of origin is determined by where our substations are located. The two that you see here on the map that we're proposing for the South Bradley, we've actually separated them. You'll see that there's a gap in the middle, and that was done by design. The reason we did that is because each of these electronic cabinets that we put in the substation can feed radially. And so we'll be able to move more to the west and to the east by separating that and then come together in the middle with a future project. It's just a method for us to cut cost and expedite the installation.
In a second after he's finished.
I think
Go ahead.
Did you have another question?
After you're finished,
Well, what do you want? I'm not sure what you want me to talk about next.
whatever you had on
Okay.
your,
So on the back of the map, if you flip over the larger map, this 11 by 17 sheet, you'll see the proposed budget for the outlined area up here on the screen. And so Bradley County had $4 million. We deducted the $779,000 from that running total. That's your obligation for the current state broadband grants that have been awarded, the Bradley 01 and Bradley 02, which leaves you with a total of $3,220,000 roughly. The total project cost for what we have up here on the screen is $6,522,000. So VEC would match your 3.2 million with 3.3 million, so it would actually work out to a 51-49 match in your favor
for what,
for this,
um,
for the South Bradley.
South Bradley, is that 0304?
Yes.
So the estimate you had at 10,254,000 has now been lowered?
Yeah, so in order to keep it at a 50-50 match, we had to remove portions of that South Bradley. There were 4 proposed zones of service, and we took out 2 of those.
So you reduced the number of
Yeah, that way
households that are going to get high-speed internet?
Yeah. So we're looking at, in this area that's on the screen, it would be 1,333 homes and businesses.
So some people just got cut.
Yeah.
Are you done?
I think so.
All right.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
How many, you said that there were some people who got cut. How many homes were there that got cut out of this project?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the original number. I'd have to go back and look. What we did do, we had, actually, I believe it was 3 zones of service in what they were calling the Sugar Grove area, and then there were 3 zones of service in the South Bradley, and they tried to combine some of those into larger areas and cut off of the periphery. But I don't remember the exact numbers. I'm sorry. I'd have to go back and look at the notes.
This area on the screen, is this a grant you're going to apply for? Is this just your money and our money?
Just your money and ours.
Just a quick question. I'm looking on the paperwork or up here, and it looks like for the Hopewell, Georgetown area, that's 10% of that is 800. What we're voting on says 50-50 match, and I'm trying to figure out what when this is showing 10%, what is the 50-50 actually for?
So this smaller sheet is
Yes.
the grant from the state that's already been awarded.
Okay,
So that is
that
completely
at?
separate from this.
this.
So the
Yes,
smaller
so-
sheet is money that's already been awarded. That
Yes, sir.
project has been greenlit. It's going to happen.
So you need 10% for
Yes.
those 2.
That's right. Those 2
And
we
then
would need
50-50 for the
for the one on the
bottom.
screen.
Okay, now I understand.
So,
This is just proposed and how the 50-50 match might look. We're not approving the 50-50 match for these 3 and 4 projects tonight. We're just asking for approval so that we can continue discussions with VEC as well as Charter or anybody else that would like to partner with us on a 50-50 match. This is just a possibility.
Commissioner Slater.
So, Ms. Davis, what does Charter's map look like?
Charter has been asked to give us a map, and they have not complied at this point. And so we asked for Charter to provide a footprint, is what it's called in the digital world, and they would not give us a footprint of where they currently serve people in this area.
Mr. Thompson.
yes. If 0102 is approved, if 0102 is approved,
Yeah, 01 and 02 are approved as of today.
it's approved by the state, but not by the county commission.
Oh,
No, he did not. When do we prove 0102?
Was it
We
a vote to
earmarked the
approve?
1.8 million.
Which
We've
is-
earmarked a lot of money, but we haven't approved 0102. We should, but we haven't.
Well, if it hasn't been approved, it was voted on by the full commission to
To-
set aside $1.8 million
Right.
for grant opportunities
Earmarking.
that are being provided by VEC.
It was
Yes.
it was a commitment that they needed to be able to apply for the grant.
Yes,
so
it
it
was.
was voted to commit. As far as when the money will be paid out,
Did you
you're
recognize
talking
him?
years. It won't be paid out because I believe it's reimbursable, correct? So it won't be paid out by the county till the end of the process.
We need to get a little decorum going here and ask to be recognized, and I'll be glad to recognize people. I'm not bashful.
I'm not
about that.
against it, but all we did was earmark it. Now, when we earmarked it, that gave you what you needed in order to go apply for the grant. Before we earmarked the 1.8 million, we put 25,000 into the budget, and you used that to go apply for money as well. But we never actually voted to do this project because we didn't have where you were gonna go. We just had, okay, go forth and do well. What I'm saying is 0102 needs to be approved before we do anything, in my opinion, but earmarking is not approving the project. I could be wrong. The current county attorney can tell me whether I'm not or not.
Commissioner Rogers.
To my understanding and knowledge of trying to read this map, there's a lot of colors and different things on it.
You're talking about the large one?
Yes, sir. This is South Rural Bradley County. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
What school districts are in this area? Does the ad hoc committee Ms. Davis, do you know what
Probably
schools
answer
this?
that.
I mean, yeah, Taylor would be in there.
Taylor, Black Fox. I just know in the past that sitting in these commission meetings, we've heard time and time again how students over the past few years, especially with COVID-19, having to be at home through those times and having to work. We've heard of things called internet deserts, where there are areas that do not have internet available for students. And being able to approve projects like this, I think, would be great for the students of Bradley County to be able to have internet at their home so that they may be able to learn and have more resources available to them so that they can grow in their education as well. So I appreciate the ad hoc committee and VEC for being here and putting this map out. And I look forward to working with this. And I think that it would be beneficial for all of us to really kind of understand if it's been approved or if it hasn't been approved. If it hasn't and there needs to be a vote, I think that would be great to do. I think anytime we can bring internet to businesses and to homes, especially, I think you said 1,900 homes. Is that how many you said?
I believe it's 1,300.
1,300 homes. There's a lot of students in those homes, I'm sure. So I appreciate you being here.
Or as soon as you're complete, we're going to solve this issue of funding, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead and finish up, but I'm
Well,
not
I would just reiterate, VEC is a nonprofit cooperative. We will do whatever this county commission recommends. The broadband that we're installing, we're not making money off of it. We're bringing an additional service to our members, just like we did in 1935 when we provided electric service for the first time in Meigs and Bradley counties. And so if you guys are supportive, we'll do what we can to assist. If you feel there's a better alternative, you're not going to make us mad. You know, we're just here to serve our members. So whatever you guys want us to do, we're happy to do.
Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
I wasn't just happy. Taylor, Oak Grove, and Parkville in this area.
I think Oak Grove maybe.
Map is like this be all south of.
The bottom line of the page is the Georgia state line. You rotate that 90 degrees.
Do you have the list from committee, anybody, where it specifically lays out the roads from 3 and 4? Can you call those out for us? It may be easier than reading this map. I can't see one road on the map.
Kind of like that one.
Looks like, if you don't mind, it looks like Red Clay, Keith Valley are some of the bigger roads in this area. Armstrong, Straw Hill, Lead Mine Valley, Weatherly Switch, and Blue Springs as well.
So all of those, if we're still talking about students, I mean, those kids are going to Valley View, Blue Springs.
Yeah, to
Lake
clarify, I wasn't
Forest.
asking about the exact school that was there, but what schools do these students go to was my question, I think.
It'd be Valley View, Black Fox, Lake Forest.
Yes.
We got plans for 4th district.
you just got approved there, Harry. It was just approved.
Is, the fourth,
Yeah,
is the
water.
fourth district Chatta Valley?
Yeah,
Well,
take it
yeah.
in for us.
Yeah. So that's
Right-hand
the
side.
Bradley 02 grant that was just awarded today.
And
Yeah,
second-
it's the small
And
one.
second district.
That's the small.
And second
Smaller
district.
map.
What?
Bring it over there.
County Attorney, please.
Yes.
Let's see, we have a motion and a second discussion right now on the floor. And then we're gonna make a motion and hopefully get a second. We're gonna solve this problem on paying. Are we gonna pay or what? Do we put them together or do we solve this? Go ahead and vote on the first.
Haven't they already approved the agenda then?
You have already approved the agenda, so you probably would need to do a substitute and add to this current motion if you want to add something to that.
Blake,
Thank you. So you've heard a lot of information. First thing I wanted to address is the water is totally different. The water is just a 50-50 deal in this particular case because you're not getting money from the state. Now, when we look at sewer, we are getting some money from the state because the state of Tennessee decided to go to utility companies and give them part of the voice or whatever, and you guys have been working with them, so that's going to be working a little bit. The water is a 50-50 deal because the state's not coming in with a boatload of money. The 50-50 deal is the perfect way. On Bradley 01 and 02, that is a very good plan. If that was the motion to adopt that, I support it wholeheartedly. Because the cost per household or however you guys, whatever unit of measure you guys use on that, I don't know if it's at the household level or the street level, whatever, but it's a pretty good deal on our side. 10%, say 800,000 for what we're getting. I do that every single day and twice on Sunday. But the 50-50 at this point in time, my humble opinion, is not as good as a deal. And it sounds like Eric and I are saying the same thing. It needs more discussion. And that's what this committee was for. It's what she's been working hard over the last 3 or 4 years is to get, we are broadband ready county because of the resolution that she passed right at the very beginning. I think every one of us up here has some kind of question, scratching our head, kind of what's going on, and that proves my point to a certain degree, that this needs to go back to committee so that we can ask the questions. Just until you showed us this documentation that you went from 10 point, I don't have it right here, but you went basically from 10 million down to 6 million so that you could match your 50-50 deal. That was going to be one of my points, is that all we have is 3.2 million after the 800,000. Well, the 800,000, I guess you'll get that next week or whenever the mayor's office gives you that. And then we'll have 3.2 in that bucket. Let me just make this as clear as I possibly can. And I think that I am for and I'll support and I'll fight against moving any money out of this bucket. I want all $4 million to go to high-speed internet to the ISPs, internet service providers, to provide as much broadband as possible. That little kid out there in Buck's Pocket or that kid up there in North Bradley County, when Dr. Cash gives them a science or one of our principals or teachers curriculum to do, I want them to be able to go on there and do their curriculum just like the kid over here on Blythe Ferry can do. So any concerns about raiding this bucket, throw it out the window because we're going to spend all. But what I do hope is that we can get 3.2 million. I want to get as much of Bradley County as possible. If we could get everybody, that would be perfect. We know we can't, but we can definitely get more, I think, than what we're getting right now with the 3.2. Because once the 3.2 million is gone and we give it to the VEC, it's it. Then we go back to, I guess, the state with that 25,000 and hoping and praying and sacrificing the firstborn and all that kind of stuff. We need to send this back and ask a lot more questions. The state, I do not see them removing or ending their program, because remember, they passed this law before COVID ever happened. They were, Representative Howell was a part of that, and they pushed it. I think up there in the Hopewell area, just north of Hopewell, was one of the very first projects that was done with VEC, and I apologize, I forget the name of the company that actually services.
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes?
Yes.
Twin Lakes. And that's been very successful, from what I understand, high-speed internet. We need as much of that as possible with our 3.2 million. Right now, I just do not think we're getting enough for that. If we're exploring and we're talking, fine, but that's what the committee's doing anyway. So I'm not quite sure what we're approving other than, because what I don't want is for VC or any other ISP, but it doesn't sound like Spectrum is interested in really working with us, because we're going to want these kind of maps, as Erica said, in order to know what we're getting for it. You guys have already stated numerous times that you're not going to compete with Spectrum or anybody else. So you're our vendor of choice, so to speak, right now. But we want to get as much as possible with the 3.2 million that we have and any other left over. I'll just ask you this. Do you believe the state is going to discontinue grant money? So next March of 2023 or April, when I guess that window opens up, and we've got, and that 3.2 million represents 10% of the total package, is a lot better than 3.2 million representing 50% of the package.
I would say that the state has given indication that there will be funds available next year. The other thing that I might mention, however, is that in order for you to use that 3.2 million as a 10% match, it would have to be at least a $30 million project. I think you'll
And you
find
should have room for that.
it depends. If we're still utilizing the FCC maps, I'm afraid not, because as we've all discussed in the past, the FCC maps are just terribly wrong, just inaccurate, and don't have the availability in the areas where the service actually does not exist.
Not to interrupt, but you said if we're using the FCC maps. Are we using the FCC maps for Bradley 01 and 02?
Yes.
So we'll continue using the FCC, and they're, I don't know who in Washington ever came up with them, but.
So the FCC is redoing their maps. We don't know when they'll be finished. I don't have very high expectations that the accuracy of the maps will be much improved after they've been revised. But the state is working on its own map. We've talked about that as well. I expect the state map to be more accurate, and for state funding opportunities, I think we might get to utilize the state map. They had the state map online about 2 months ago for public comment. It's since been taken down. They found some issues with it, so I don't know where they stand in that process, if the state map is ready for use or will be ready for use in March. I think it's probable.
That's an indication that they're going to continue granting out money, and that's what we're really looking for.
I don't think there's much question about that. I think the program will continue forward.
Right, and
I guess my point was, in order to use the 3.2 million as a match, it would have to be a $32 million project in total. And without knowing what the state maps are going to allow for as an eligible area, I can't tell you with any certainty that there will be 32 million worth of projects in Bradley County.
But there's definitely more than 6 million, which is what the 3.2 would get us. So
even because what we've lost off of this would be at least 4.
Yeah, I'll take that as well. But so the 3.2 million, if it, like you said, if it represents 10% of the total package, and that's just more than the capacity of what can happen. The 3.2 can still get us more than what we're getting right now.
Potentially.
What I'm concerned about is if this passes, that VEC goes forward thinking that there's a 50-50 deal and you got to start planning and making decisions and stuff like that. So why would we? Why would we tell VEC that we're going to do a 50-50 deal when we're still scratching and working on formulas and stuff like that? That's why I say I think it's premature, and why I voted no in committees, because to me there's still more questions. The second thing is, even if we'll take the hypothetical and say the state, for some other reason, the General Assembly and Governor Lee says we're done with the grant money, just for the hypothetical. Like we said, we don't think that's going to happen, but if they did, like she said, we got until 2024 to appropriate the money. In other words, we can be here in March of 23, the summer of 23, and say, VEC, here's $3.2 million. The state abandoned us, go forth and do well. And you got until 2026. Maybe a little bit tighter tight line, but at least we exercised the fact that the state decided to abandon us, and we're going to do the best we can with the 3.2 that the feds gave us. But right now, we're not at that point.
No.
So that's why I think this should go back to committee and work with you guys on making the most out of the 3.2.
Commissioner Hughes and then Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, let me make a second on this, because I know if the first document I was handed, thought was part of this, and I was lost in the middle of it and knowing what's going on, I can only imagine what some of these new commissioners that are coming into this are thinking, so I will second that motion.
Oh, we already had.
Send it back to the committee. Oh, I thought he made
We
substitute
still
motion.
have to vote on the original.
Oh, well, let me make a substitute motion,
Okay.
send it back to the broadband committee or ad hoc committee and for further information or guidance on it,
Do
because
I,
this is insane.
do I have a second on that? Commissioner Thompson seconded it. Substitute motion. Send it back to the committee.
I might mention something else. At least in the short term, BEC will not be able to come up with an alternative layout to this, just because until there is state funds knowingly available, I mean, we're going to be hamstrung with the 50-50 match. Once the program next March opens up and they do say, okay, it's a 10% match this time or a 15%, you know, we don't make that decision. That decision comes from the state. And so if we send this back to the committee, that's fine. But it's probably going to be March or April of next year before we would be able to present some sort of an alternative option.
We have a substitute motion on the floor. Any
Mr. Chair.
discussion on it?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Winter.
could we identify what we want this ad hoc committee to continue to look at? Just 1, 2, 3. You mentioned several areas to go into. What do you want them to make sure they look at? Mr. Chairman.
Isn't that me?
Third bid.
Well, the committee, I guess when it comes back, the 01 and 02 projects, I assume are going to be done.
That's the
And-
plan, yes.
Right. So whether we need to vote on it or not, you guys in the morning can start whatever you need to do, ordering equipment, whatever you got to do, and that part's done.
Do that.
I guess, let me ask you a question. When you did the project north of Hopewell, I don't know if it had a project name or whatever.
It was just our pilot project.
It
at
was
that
just a
time.
pilot project. You didn't have so much a committee at that point in time to work with you guys, because, so I imagine the committee would be getting updates from, BEC on how the projects are wanted. Well, I asked you in committee, you're gonna be doing both of those at the same time, right?
Yes.
So this part and this part here are gonna be done at the same time.
That is correct.
So the
yes.
committee would be working with VEC, I imagine, on just updates and progress reports on how things are going with getting out there.
On 01 and 02.
On 01 and 02, I mean, you're a project manager or higher. Every project, you always run into something and stuff like that. With respects to 3 and 4, I think we just pause and work with our legislative bodies, help them get their grant applications, and whatever we can do to assist them to apply next spring, like they did for this one, and be ready to fund 10% or more if we have to. But that's what I think the committee should do.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
question for you, sir. If this gets sent back to the committee, will VEC in the spring still be able to do a 50-50 match on this project? Are there other projects that VEC, and then a second question too, are there other projects out there that VEC, that including in this, because I think that was mentioned before, was what more can we do? Are there other 50-50 projects out there, or 10% projects or anything if you get this funding from the state in the spring? Or is this it? Like, is this all the projects that you guys have available at this time, minus the homes that you had to take off to be able to make that match?
So because VEC is a nonprofit, our financial threshold is that 50-50 match. If we don't have funding coming from some secondary source at the equivalent of 50-50, then it's not financially feasible for us to do a project. And so since 2018, when we started our pilot in Hopewell, we've been going after grant opportunities that provided at minimum a 50-50 match. 50-50 is the lowest that we've accepted. We've also had some that were 75-25 and now 80-20. But to answer your question, we have two projects over in Polk County that also were awarded today. Call them Polk 1 and Polk 2 if you'd like. But essentially, they're projects of the same scope, and what they do on this smaller map, they interconnect here on the western portions of Polk County and essentially continue that broadband service area over into Polk County and up into Reliance. Those two projects in Polk County will be contiguous with this, and they will be installed simultaneously with this. So those projects won't have an effect on what VEC is capable of doing for Bradley County in the future. We will be applying for other projects in Bradley County. If you guys don't want to do this 50-50 match on this South Bradley proposal, that's fine. We'll be turning in an application as soon as there's an opportunity for those areas. Again, this is actually probably I want to say 4th or 5th time I've applied on this same area. And because it's a competitive bid process for whatever reason, I can't tell you what that reason is. It's just not been awarded so far. But we will be applying on it again.
And one more thing, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I do want to ask Commissioner Slater a question as well, because the motion states that this is a motion to accept recommendations and to look at opportunities to partner with all broadband providers, so not just VEC, on 50-50 match projects. So what this motion that we're making a substitute on is only talking about letting the ad hoc committee look at more 50-50 projects, not just with VEC, but with other internet providers throughout. This project that you're talking about here would be a project that you would bring to the ad hoc committee for approval from them if other internet providers did not provide better projects. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So
yes.
the motion that was on the floor first before the substitute motion was only to allow the ad hoc committee to then look at and talk with other internet providers to provide and look at funds or opportunities available to this commission to provide 50-50 matches. Is that correct?
That is
Commissioner
correct.
Slater?
That is
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Thank you. We have a substitute motion on the floor.
Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
I love you, Commissioner Thompson. You give me a promotion every time you mention my name. I'm a member of the ad hoc committee and was actually the one who made the motion. So if I could explain just a little bit of the thinking. I think we're all in agreement that if we can stretch that 3.2 by going after these 10% state-funded grants. But my concern is we only have a short window of time, and in 2 years may not seem short, but you'll blink and it'll be gone, to have that money committed. We are confident that there will be at least one more grant round. We don't know beyond next year. I don't want to see the county get in the position of having $3.2 million, taking the route of investing and partnering with VEC or Charter, because Charter applied for projects in Bradley County too, and just weren't awarded any in this round. Waiting and missing the window, because once we roll the clock from 24 to 25, we learned earlier, we're at a 24-month process. The clock starts. We could be stuck sitting on ARP money. We may never get another grant. If there's grants that are offered from now until eternity, we may never get awarded another grant in Bradley County. So the spirit of my motion was really just to get a head nod from the commission. We may have muddied the waters by bringing a proposal to you. This is not a proposal you're voting on. But what we wanted to try to do was give you an opportunity to look at, okay, what could this look like down the road? What's a 50-50 match going to do? We know what a 10% match is going to do. That was map 1. We just found out today that that's official. We'll go through the motions to make that a reality. But what would a 50-50 match look like? So again, not wanting you to approve this 50-50 match. There's really nothing to discuss. They're up the road. They've got the technology. They've had the cooperation to be able to spit that out quick, which is why we're looking at it tonight. But ultimately, the spirit of my motion was to give a head nod or a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the folks that are working on it behind the scenes. Because here's the thing, I don't think anybody wants to waste time if the will of the commission is to never put that kind of money 50-50 on the table, right? In my opinion, and I think it's shared by most everybody that's spoken, a 50-50 match should be our plan B, because we can clearly get more for our dollar by just putting 10% in. But it's not guaranteed, right? We don't know. We can apply for the grant, but that doesn't mean we'll get it. And at some point, we're going to hit that deadline where even if we get a grant after the fact, we can't use the 3.2. We'll have to pull it from somewhere else if we want to invest. So I just don't want to lose that opportunity. And right now, the only option is the grants. That's what I believe we should continue to pursue. However, we would like to be able to talk to all eligible parties about what does Plan B look like when we get to that point.
So, Adam, that's the point that I think is important right there, is that the 3.2, you're making it sound like if we don't do this now, we're taking a risk.
Well, I'm not making that assumption.
Okay.
I think if we're sitting here on New Year's Eve of 2025, we're
Then
in trouble.
I'll give them 3.2.
Yeah.
And I'll Venmo
Right.
it to you. But
Right.
But
But
right
as you
now-
know, it takes a long time to work through all this, to answer all the questions that need to be asked. And so we would just like to be able to have the green light from the commission to move forward
Right,
and
well,
start that
I
process.
think we've driven this thing into the ground.
Probably true.
we have.
We've got a substitute motion on the table.
Well, we're going to call the question, but you haven't. But what we do know for a fact is that 3.2 million, if you give it to you right now, a certain amount of people are going to get high-speed internet, and a lot of people are not.
Correct.
A lot of people. And that's what I want to do, everything. I'm willing to take the risk. I am, so that we can get more internet out there. This is what we do know, and if it's a risk, but I've got to believe that in 2023, late fall, this time next year, we're here, sitting here day after Labor Day, and we're like, the state abandoned us. 3.2 is what we got. You'll take it and you'll get as much internet as possible, and I'll let the people in Nashville know that we're disappointed in them.
One more thing.
We're finished.
Call for the question.
Call the roll, please.
Beatty? Hughes?
Yes.
Alford?
Yes.
Cry?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Collins?
Excuse me, Crystal, can I ask you a question, because I'm an idiot? So if I vote yes, I'm voting for this substitute motion.
Oh, do we? There was no objection to the question. Right.
And after the substitute motion, will we vote on Commissioner Slater's motion?
Only if the substitute fails. If the substitute motion fails, you go back to the original motion. If the substitute passes, you do not go back to the original motion.
And the substitute motion is to send this back to committee. Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Goins?
Yes.
Slater?
No.
Mason?
Yes.
Ledford?
Yes.
Rogers?
No.
Winters?
Yes.
Does anyone wish to change their vote? It's 12 in favor and 2 opposed.
Thank you. Item F, Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a motion to submit recommendations to the Election Commission to improve transparency by requesting they post meetings and agendas on the website a minimum of 24 hours in advance of their meetings, and to improve access to minutes and other public records. And I place this in the form of a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Hughes, second. Open for discussion, comments?
I was just going to say, no, this is just a recommendation.
That's all we can do is
That's
recommend.
all I have.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah, it's open.
Hey, excuse me, Adam, did you talk to the election administrator, and they were open to some of these suggestions already, right? I mean, I'm gonna vote for it, of course, but they knew that the calendar and their meeting times that they could utilize, if they chose to do so, the Bradley County PN.gov
No, it will not be on the county's website. They
Okay.
operate their own
They have their own domain.
website, bradleyelections.com, I believe. They are in the process of updating the website for the November election, and when that happens, they will be adding verbiage announcing when the meetings take place. The meetings are the first Monday. It's already on the website. There you go.
Okay.
More questions? Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Beatty,
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Alford,
I understand that they're gonna put it on their website, right? Yes.
Cry,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yeah.
Goins,
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Ledford,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
It's 14 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Communication from the audience. Is there anyone like to speak to the audience? Charlotte, you know the routine, 5 minutes.
I don't need 5 minutes, but thank you. Good evening. I see it's politics as usual up here. I would just like to encourage all of you to remember where you came from. I used to sit where you sat, so trust me, I know what goes on. Hope those committee appointments were worth it. But remember, you put your pants on same way everybody else out here does. So eat some humble pie and be respectful of the audience members. I will come every once in a while and to encourage all of you. But good luck and congratulations, Mr. Winters and Chairman Cry.
Thank you.
I told you so.
You did great, lady. Thank you. Please come on up and give your name, and if you don't, if you prefer not to give the address, just make sure Lori has.
Deborah Gleason, 4th District. At the Bradley County Commission meeting on August 22nd, 2022, there were some comments made that I would like to correct or to ask additional questions about. There appears to be some inconsistencies with what was being stated. I would like to express gratitude to this person who spoke on August 22nd, 2022, for their service to our community and our government over the past 35 years, and hope that they continue to be a positive influence in our community. This person stated on August 22nd that the Election Commission contacted them in July 2021 and asked them if they would consider working for the Election Commission part-time, and that the Election Commission administrator was unable to tell them what part-time meant, just whenever this person could work. This person wasn't sure if the administrator meant 2 days a week or 5 days a week. Why couldn't the administrator determine the hours needed? A seasoned manager, administrator of 30-plus years should be able to project, based on the number of hours each employee was already working, the workload, past records reflecting man hours for this time period, at least giving an estimate. The maximum hours would be determined based on the budget. Is this a lack of transparency between the administrator and the part-time worker, or a lack of managerial skills, or a lack of commitment to the job? This person stated that between August 2020 election and the January 2022 election, the Election Commission office was still working on the 2020 election paperwork. Why? 2 years between elections, you have one full-time employee, one part-time employee, plus the full-time administrator and a second part-time employee. Coming from a work career as an office manager, what little downtime we had between peak times was spent catching up the other responsibilities of maintaining the filing system and any other duties that had to be placed on the back burner during this peak time. Managerial efficiency, and there certainly wasn't a 2-year downtime. This person stated that prior to 2020, the Election Commission had 2 full-time workers and 10 part-time employees. I'm assuming that the 10, part-time employees were the Lee University student employees, which this person mentioned to me during one of our conversations at the election polls. What happened to them? The Election Commission lost them because of cutbacks? If these were, in fact, the Lee University students' employees, this person I was speaking with indicated that they didn't like using them because they were lazy. They just played on the computers and didn't get the work done. They were too difficult and time-consuming for the administrator to oversee. A lack of managerial efficiency? A correction. This person stated that the Election Commission just recently increased the hourly wage of the election poll workers from $6.95 to $8.55. Actually, on August 1st, 2022, the Election Commission voted to raise it to $10 per hour. I'm surprised this person didn't know this. On August 22nd, 2022, this person also stated that in their 35 years of service, they had never seen an office like Bradley that you can walk in and ask for documents and have them handed to you right then. This was either misleading, deceptive, or out of touch. Myself and 2 others were there following the Election Commission meeting, and I requested the documents that were presented by the administrator during the meeting, and the administrator denied giving them to me. No explanation as to why, just that they wouldn't give them to me. Today, I was there and I didn't have any problem getting copies of the minutes. This person who spoke on August 22nd implied that they had been accused of being rude to people who would call in the morning. They went on to say that might have been expected when someone is calling every morning at 9:05 a.m., wanting to speak with the Election Commission administrator, while the administrator was out of the office on funeral leave due to the death of their father in Florida. They added that the person calling was informed of that. It sounded as though this person was trying to accuse the person calling the office of harassment. Just a couple more paragraphs.
Make it quick, please.
If in fact this person was referring to the calls I made to the office, I have telephone records that show I called the election office a total of 8 times during March 1st through August 4th, 2022. Each time I called the Election Commission to speak to the administrator during this 3-week period of time, I was told that the administrator was out on funeral leave. I believe the 3rd week the administrator called in sick for that week. I called back based on the information I received of when the administrator would be back in the office. One of the calls was answered by the worker who spoke on August 22nd. This person stated that the administrator never gets into the office until after 10 a.m. So it would be best to call at that time when I call again. So it seems that there is a whole lot of miscommunication.
Let's bring it to a halt.
Two more sentences, please. I was given, the other person was given 10 to 20 minutes after they were told the 5 minutes was up. So I please, just let me finish the 2 sentences.
We've been here a long time.
I know that, so have I. Or a lack of transparency among the workers in the Election Commission, or an attempt to deflect facts, or all of the above. May I state for the record that I will swear to all that I have presented here today, and I thank you for your time. And this person can rest assured that we will not relent, we will not shut up, and we will not allow for this type of mismanagement to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For whatever it's worth to the people remaining, we're going to start enforcing this 5-minute rule more stringently, I can assure you. That's why we got the beeper here. Anyone else from the audience, please? Anyone else? Come on up.
Evening. I'll try to be brief. We had a bit of a diatribe back on the 22nd at the meeting from a part-time employee of the Election Commission. he spreads a fair amount of disinformation and left a lot of facts out of the situation. The situation with the, including the $2,500 that appeared to be try to be hidden so that that money could be used to give bonuses to employees. And part of the other problem with this situation with the money was the fact that the Election Commission did not get their budget amendments in time. And by doing that, it caused an issue. Understand something. We're not talking about the Sheriff's Department. We're not talking about the Fire Department. We're not talking about EMS when we're talking about this budget level. You know, there seems to be a lot of problems in that situation. And, you know, all of a sudden now we're starting to see a little bit of relenting, you know, to the free distribution of information. I think it's, I think it was a little bit off base to also indicate that somehow a commissioner would have, you know, given them the idea that they should, their amendment should be far exceeding what was actually needed. So, you know, whether it was whatever the amount was, we know that there was $2,500 that was used to give bonuses that was set aside. I really just don't get what all the deal is. And when you talk about transparency, I gave Lori an open records request. That's not the only one. We talked about, I think the statement was complete transparency. That is a lie. There's the open records request. I can give you 7 or 8 more of open records requests that had to go to receive information that is public information. That's public information. That's not information for a department to keep to themselves. We have a right to know. We need to know. We have a lack of credibility in the electoral system. Anybody who doesn't believe that's not paying attention. We have a big problem. And we need to get to the bottom of that problem. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that that system functions correctly. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. They don't know. If everything is fine and dandy, why did we have less than 11%? Why, when we're out talking to people, they say, I don't even know if my vote counts. The system has a lack of credibility, and we want to we're not trying to do anything but put the credibility back in that system. And what better way to do that than through transparency? There is no better way to do that. Because if you can go forward and say, I just want to see those documents, show them to me. Okay, good, here it is. You know what? Be a poll worker. I mean, I don't even know if a lot of people realize that the poll workers are not even employees paid through the budget of the Election Commission. That's paid out of a completely different funding situation. The poll workers are paid through the county, and the employees, part-time or full-time, are paid from the budget of the Election Commission. I just want to know, why do we have a part-time employee who says he does not represent the Election Commission, but multiple times said we, used the term we, which would imply that there's more than one person involved. All we're trying to do is have transparency. That's what we want. We want any citizen to be able to go in and say, look, I want to see this, this, and this. And if that information is public information, it should be given to them. They shouldn't have to go through open records requests for information that is accessible to them. That's all. You know what? And if we can foster that situation and make it come to fruition, great. Let's do that. But we don't need disinformation. We don't need, why was not the administrator here? Why wasn't the head of the Election Commission? Why was it a part-time? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else from the audience would like to speak? Going twice? 3 times? The next meeting, work session Monday, September the 12th at 12 p.m., Bradley County Courthouse. Upcoming events, new Terra Compost Kiosk ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow at 10:30, Urbane Road Farmers Market. Elks Lodge on 9/11, ceremony September the 11th, 1 o'clock. TCCA regional meeting, September the 12th. Commissioner Hughes?
Mr. Chairman, I'd fail to advise that opening day for the Miracle League starts on September 10th, 2020 at 10 a.m. at the Blue Springs Ballpark.
Great. I think I've got it all covered. Anything else?